to Playbook for Performance, the official podcast of Shauna Corden, the Joan of Arc for corporate healing and performance. Join the quest to make work fun again by preparing leadership for engaging workplaces. And now, your host.
Hello and welcome, friends. I'm Shauna Corden, and I'm glad to have you here on the Playbook for Performance podcast. Our mission is to make work fun again by building better leaders. This month's theme is all about building a coaching culture. If you have a specific question on building a coaching culture, email us and we can add it to our social media. Just drop a note to podcast@shaunacorden.com. Now, last week we talked about what is a coaching culture. And today we're talking about the modalities of coaching. What is a modality, you might ask? It's a fancy word for a form of coaching. And coaching can take place in many forms. In my book, Coach Culture, A Playbook for Winning in Business, I talk about what coaching is, why it works, and then start getting into the meat of it, the how. How you deliver coaching in the many forms it might take. Inside a company, there are three main forms of coaching. Let's take them one at a time. External. External coaches are not employed by the company they're providing coaching for. This is typically where coaching begins in an organization, usually at the C-suite level. Executives receive coaching to help round out their performance, whether enhancing existing talents or revealing blind spots. The focus is on modifying behavior and habits. This step of having executives experience coaching by a professional coach is key, as many executives believe they are coaches, in the sense that they help their subordinates perform. But the difference being that they're telling them what to do as a subject matter expert versus being an expert in the coaching process and helping others decide what to do. These coaching experiences at the C-suite often last 12 to 18 months and sometimes up to 2 years. In my book, I highlight how these coaching interventions are applied, and you can read more in detail. So what are the advantages of an external coach? The professional coach knows what the exec's peers are doing in the industry or even other industries and what they're facing. They're not swayed by the politics inside the organization, and they have enough distance to ask fundamental questions and not treat assumptions as facts. The disadvantage? Sometimes it does help to know the history and the culture of an organization from the inside, to know how changes may be received. And of the modalities, this is the highest cost, perhaps because it is the most valuable. The habits and behaviors modified here affect culture and the bottom line of the company. Early in my career, when I was coaching execs, I lamented that I couldn't reach more people. But a colleague reminded me that the changes this one person made affected 1,000 people downstream. And this made me appreciate every win with a client that much more. The second modality is internal coaches. These are people employed by the company they coach for. They attend staff meetings, they comply with required training, and they're measured by the KPIs that the coaching program is targeting. Early on, companies used to, and still do, hire credentialed coaches from the outside to become employees and coach. Now I see many organizations take already proven leaders who have enormous emotional intelligence and a passion for people and send them to coach school to become professionally trained. The advantage is already knowing the culture in the organization. They already have a proven track record and are well respected by their peers. The members of this organization are less likely to doubt their intentions or be skeptical of the confidentiality promised by coaches. Many internal coaches share coaching with other responsibilities, such as organizational development, learning organizations, or even engineering. This allows the organization to flex for demands in coaching, such as on the back end of a training event or high potential programs. Internal coaches often focus on the levels of director and below to ensure that there is not a conflict of interest in the topics that the executives are raising. The third modality is leaders with coaching skills. These are leaders who have had some professional coach training, learning the skill essentials, and a coaching conversation model, but use the skills as part of their role versus conducting formal coaching engagements with agreements or contracts. I've seen this applied in many ways, such as project managers who coach aspiring project managers, but most often it's the leader using coaching skills with their direct staff in team settings and in one-on-ones. The advantages? The benefits of coaching, such as clarity, excellent listening, better communication in everyday interactions, not just scheduled appointments. By far the biggest bang for any organization's buck. The caveat: these leaders need to have experienced coaching themselves to really get it, and they need the regular refresher to keep good habits and not slide into advising. And I should also say that these leaders with coaching skills, because they're not practicing formal coaching engagements, they probably don't have the same benefits as a professional coach, including confidentiality and the formal agreement, as well as the coaching code of ethics that professional coaches adhere to. Now, all three of these modalities can also apply terrific team coaching and group coaching. These applications allow organizations to address team goals, affinity groups, and desires such as productivity, career growth, and wellness. And we'll talk more about these applications next week. So if you're interested in building a coaching culture, where should you start? Start with experiencing coaching. Get the distinctions between what you think coaching is and what it really is. As I've said before, I thought I knew it all when I went to coaching school. I've been coaching for years, was what I normally said. But then I learned that I wasn't giving advice. I had to go and unlearn all that. Learn for yourself how it's different to find someone listening without an agenda. They're completely focused on you. They want what you want, and they tell the truth about what they're hearing versus observing, what incongruencies they see, and without judgment, they ask what you want to do about it. Until you really get coaching, you can't assign it to your top talent or use it as a tool to solve your retention problem. Coaching is often misunderstood as a feel-good perk. Although it does feel good, it's really a champion problem solver. It accelerates change with action aligned with purpose. Let me say that again. It accelerates change with action aligned with purpose. I feel really good about that soundbite. I want to be known for that quote. When I consult with organizations, I highly recommend they assign the coaching intervention to solve an organizational challenge, something they can measure. Where is your organization in this coaching maturity model? Are you beginners needing an overview and a revealing of the map? Are you experiencing coaching and witnessing its benefits, but not sure how to expand? Are you using coaching in all your interactions? Let me give your organization an overview of what to expect in a coaching culture. Our tool of the week is the coaching agreement. If you're not a professional coach, you're probably unfamiliar with this term. The coaching agreement for the professional coach is much like a contract, except for a single conversation. The coach and the client agree to a topic and a desired outcome, and the coach asks questions throughout the conversation based on what the client has offered that help them arrive at that outcome. The client determines what the agenda will be. This is much like when you go to a meeting for a staff meeting and you have objectives and you talk about a desired outcome. But how often do you do this for your one-on-one conversations? And how often do you have competing agendas that you don't surface? Try out using a coaching agreement. So here's your field work. because coaching without action isn't coaching, it's just entertainment. Try to have an agreement for each business meeting you have this week. The outcome might be as simple as your colleague feeling heard and supported. Note how often you can cancel a meeting because there wasn't a clear objective or outcome. And for those you did have, how nice it was to be so transparent and so clear. If you'd like to schedule a webinar for your team learning how to design this coaching agreement, contact me at shawnacorden.com. Each week in the podcast, I like to highlight a leader doing it well in the news or from a listener and one that had a wobble. And if you'd like to nominate your organization, please email me at podcast@shawnacorden.com. This week, my doing well and my wobble are my own. My husband got COVID, then I did. I was pretty good at helping him, and then when I had to go down, I was pretty cranky. It was a lot more fun to not have a fever and to caretake than to be cared for. And in truth, I'm still running a remnant of a fever, but I'm having a bit more grace with myself. Our society is wired for independence and strength, but some things are made perfect in weakness. And this is something I need to spend a bit more time noodling on. That's all for this week. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, give us a rating, and tell your friends. If you'd like to hear more about a topic that would make your work fun by improving the leaders in your organization, please drop us a line at podcast@shawnacorden.com. Until next week, take good care.
Thank you for listening to Playbook for Performance. To learn more about Shauna Corden, her consulting programs and tools, please visit her website at shawnacorden.com and follow us on social media at Shauna Corden.